Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we wanted to let you know that this week's episode is brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters. Really cool app. Josiah and I use it for every single show that we bring to you every week. You can edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating as soon as you log into the platform. You can easily distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else the podcasts are heard, just like we do every single week. You can also create video podcasts on Spotify, which is really cool. And of course, you can earn money like I'm doing right now by including ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We really love it. We use it every single week. So we encourage you to go download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, let's get back to the show.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the tools, advice, and strategy you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now, on to this week's show.
Hello once again, and welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. I'm Josiah with my co-host, Travis Ross, here to bring you more information, more bad puns, more dad jokes on this, the 50th episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Travis, how's it going, man?
It's going good. I like how for our video watchers, you oh no, it's the other way. You did like this, and you like when you said my name, you like gestured to me, and it was like on the right. It's like we could touch, give a high five. This is such good audio right now.
It is very good audio. Audio gold from your podcast professionals.
That's right.
We're here playing a little game of Brady Bunch, trying to interact between the squares here. But now, Travis, how's things going, man?
Good. It's Monday and had our first kind of day back. It was, it's a busy day, but it was good kind of getting back in the swing of things. All of our kids were at a conference this last weekend. So it was just my wife and I all weekend long.
Nice.
Had kind of a staycation. It was really fun. We actually went out a couple times and did one night, like I think it was it Friday night? We went out and we had a, real nice steak dinner and just hung out and, It was good. It was a lot of fun. But now today, we're back. Both, obviously my son is my production manager, so he's here. And then last week I alluded to the guy who quit. So we had my daughter come in, and she's kind of doing a little. She's helping us out with some DTG right now, and so it's like kind of a family affair here. I mean, we have a couple other employees, but it's nice to having them both here on site every day and getting to see them. So it's good times. We're trying to find somebody else for DTG. We've got got a few people that we're going to interview next week. And, but so far so good. We haven't missed any orders or any deadlines or anything like that. It's thank goodness it's been pretty good. How about you? Yeah. I see that you are in a different location, aren't you?
Yes. New digs, folks. Moved into a new place this last weekend on Saturday. I cannot tell you how nice it is to have a space that I can actually permanently turn into a studio of sorts. You can see here some more great audio. Yes. Some foam. Yes. And then you turn over here, and what do you have? A closet and a guitar. Oh, yes. Look. So much room for activities. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Jeff Goldblum's going to go away. Yes. Okay. So no, seriously, very exciting to be in our new space here. Getting everything settled, making it a home. So very exciting, man. And on the work front, another huge weekend as far as sales wise go. Had another shirt kind of go viral with one of our clients, and so he sold the crap out of that. But we had a 2-hour standstill because we had to get AC installed, and they had to cut the power to everything. So thankfully, our second shifters are there now, kind of making up for some lost time. But I'm just glad that we have AC there now, so I can stay cool and climate controlled. But Travis, I also alluded in the intro, episode 50.
I
2
know.
episodes makes a year, and
Mm.
the arbitrary beginning of season 3 of the Print on Demand cast.
It is
Because
arbitrary.
as we've discussed, it means nothing. It's like
It
the
doesn't.
points on whose line is it anyway. It means nothing to anybody. But for us, it marks a year, and there will be some changes,
Hmm.
not least of which is going to be aesthetically. Little peek behind the curtain, maybe a new logo, maybe some new aesthetics. What are your thoughts on the 1 year, and are you excited?
I'm pretty excited. I know. I mean, it's just really cool that we've got an entire year
Mm-hmm.
without missing a single Wednesday release.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that says a lot. And I mean, I don't want to break my arm, pat myself on the back, but I mean, there have been times when it's been like, oh crap, we still got to record, or we have to edit,
Oh
or I've
yeah.
got to
Yeah.
change my schedule around to make sure, we release it on the right day or whatever it is. But, and we've obviously had a lot of things happen in this last year. I mean, you
Yeah.
losing your father, and,
Yeah.
Q4, and just all of these different things. But, I'll just say it. I think we did a really good job kind of being consistent, and, hopefully that is, appreciated by our audience. I'm sure it is. But I'm happy that we've made it to a year, but I'm
Yeah.
excited about kind of where we're going and
Yeah.
the future of the Print on Demand cast.
No, I agree, man. I think a year is a good benchmark to hit of consistency. And now it's just trying to figure out how to grow it, from here on out, to grow the audience, to grow the interactions, to get more of the community doing stuff, like launching a merch store, which we're going to do, to hopefully get some stuff out there that people will like to wear, I think is funny. And hopefully they'll embrace the new, but yet retro vibe of the show as we go into a year, and hopefully they'll enjoy the 1 year podcast, which now that I'm so close to Left Hand Brewing, I think you and I need to just go grab a beer at some point and kind of plan what this 1 year episode is going to be like.
We probably need to do that sooner than later too, because it's literally 2 episodes away.
It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. We talk like we have a lot of time, but we do not. It is pressing upon us. Well, before we get into this week's main event, we don't have a point of interest because hold your tears. There's an interview. I know you guys listening are sad that you won't hear the point of interest bumper for this week, but there is an interview and it's filled with lots of points of interest. But we would never deprive you of the newest segment of the show, this week's Dad Joke of the Week.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
Travis, do you know where bad rainbows go?
No, I don't know. Where do bad rainbows go?
They go to Prism, but it's only a light sentence. And that's this week's Dad Joke of the Week. I want to know how many people actually use these in party water cooler scenarios and then take all the credit.
Give it some time, Josiah. Just give it some time. These are going to go viral at some point.
Yes, let's hope that that's the case. But this week, we have an awesome interview, an awesome guest with Brandon O'Connor. He is a co-owner of Cloud9 Prints, and they're Coloradan here on the podcast this week. Travis, you know Brandon a little bit, so why don't you kind of give a teaser of what the listener has to look forward to before we transition to this week's main event?
Yeah, Brandon has a lot of experience. He's young, he's not like, an old vet or anything, but he has a lot of experience just in business. And their company hasn't been around very long, but they've had just incredible success. And I do attribute it to him and his partner, just burning the midnight oil, just working really, really hard, but also their business acumen. And so it's interesting kind of to hear somebody from, last week we talked about generations, you know what I mean? And I'm like the old guy in the interview, interviewing this young guy, but he's like giving me, dropping nuggets that I'm like, wow, that's really insightful and could potentially help my business. So I'm excited to have our listeners, just kind of sit under Brandon O'Connor's learning tree for an episode and just glean some of his expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of goes to show that just like in lots of areas of life, age doesn't necessarily, correlate to, knowledge or experience.
Right.
I mean, you can get a lot and he's had so much experience that you and I don't have as far as in the design and that in depth in the sales, which you guys will hear about in the interview. So we want to thank Brandon again for coming on the show and take you guys this week right now to the main event, our interview with Brandon O'Connor.
It's a main event. Talk about your prints. They're sitting on the fence. This is a main event.
Travis, this week for our main event, we have Brandon O'Connor, which I think sounds like a really legitimate boxer fighter name. Like you can hear Michael Bauer, Brandon O'Connor. So we're going to really hype up the intro for this here. Brandon is the co-founder of Cloud9 Prints right here in Denver. He first entered the print design world in high school and then made an unlikely transition back into the space after college. I want to hear why it's unlikely, and we're going to find out in the meat of this interview. He's recently been spending most of his time on the success of Cloud9 Prints. Please welcome to the Print on Demand cast, Brandon O'Connor. Brandon, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us.
Absolutely. That was quite the intro. I love it.
Yeah. All the other guests are going to be jealous because they didn't get a really poor Michael Buffer impression for their intro to the Print on Demand cast.
Before you even said that my name potentially sounds like a boxer name, I was like, oh man, almost sounds like a fight intro or something. It's pretty funny. But
I think it's the O'Connor. It's the Irish. I'm assuming it's of Irish descent, but I think he could be a fighter. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, hey, Brandon, thanks for joining us. I know, just so our listeners have a little context, I met you actually on Clubhouse. Kind of Clubhouse was the new cool thing, is the new cool social media for a little while there, and everybody was jumping on. I don't know. I haven't been on Clubhouse in over a month now, but for a while there, I was going on a lot. I saw you a lot and saw you were in Denver. I reached out to you on Instagram. We started chatting. I came to your shop, and met you and your business partner, and we kind of spent some time just chatting. We've done a few, projects together. You guys have sent me some business, for different things, and we've bounced a lot of ideas off each other. It's been a really cool relationship. So I'm really glad you could come on the show and kind of just give our audience some cool stuff to kind of, grow their business. So let's just jump into, the thing we always ask every guest that comes on the Print on Demand cast is like, what is your pod story? What's your POD story? So Josiah kind of hinted that in your intro. So there's some interesting stuff here that we want to kind of dig into. So how did you get into the apparel industry, Brandon?
Yeah. So basically I got the start in high school. I went to a technical school. So you pick a trade and basically you spend 1 week on and 1 week off in that trade. So half of the time I was in high school, I was learning graphic design, and the shop that I was in not only had a design lab, we also had a print area as well. So a lot different than what I do now, but we would print like materials for the school and just like newspaper type stuff. So I guess that gave me a little bit of familiarity and comfortability within the print space. And then that's where like the roots or the seeds got planted, I suppose. And if you told me when I graduated high school that I would be doing what I'm doing right now, I would have been like, ha, you're funny. Just would not have believed that in a million years. So ended up kind of transitioning back into the space with some of the coronavirus stuff that happened. I, never really left, I suppose, on the design end. That's always something that I've kept up with just like throughout the years. But we got into DTG and got into Cloud9. It was right in March of 2020, kind of like when the pandemic began. And really, my business partner and I, we lived with somebody who was doing drop shipping, fulfillment, and at a pretty high volume, actually. Like he transformed our basement into like a fulfillment center. So we were doing 3PL like before Cloud9. Like I'll tell you that because it's pretty funny actually. So basically, like when Corona started getting more real in the US, and actually kind of before then, he just got like cut off from his suppliers in China like overnight. They were
Oh,
like, yeah,
wow.
we're not shipping to you anymore. Like,
Hmm.
sorry. We don't know when this coronavirus stuff is going to happen. So, or like when it's going to end. And basically, my business partner and I, we were like, okay, well, it's pretty clear that there's going to be a demand for, US based apparel manufacturing. So
Hmm.
I had a little bit of background in DTG, or not in DTG, but in printing. And I had known about DTG from just like some YouTube videos. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like maybe now's the time for, getting back into the space. And yeah, we ended up pulling the trigger, and that's how things really began.
That's
Wow.
awesome, man. That's crazy. I didn't know. I realized that this, as soon as last year, as early as last year, that you guys had kind of pulled the trigger on Cloud9. Tell us a little bit about Cloud9. How many employees? What kind of equipment are you running? I hear through the grapevine, Travis, that you guys have a 3070 over there. That I'm really curious to see how that thing runs, because I have printer envy. And what kind of products do you guys currently fulfill? I mean, give us kind of the lowdown on Cloud9 prints.
Yeah. So I guess there were a couple different questions there, but I'll just start off with like what we do, and then I'll talk a little
Sure.
bit more about the equipment and stuff. So basically, our goal is to be an end-to-end print-on-demand manufacturer. So really, like, we're willing to meet people at whatever point in the process they are. Oftentimes it's kind of like a plug and play thing for a Shopify store, or maybe design work and web stuff needs to be done. But really, like, the main focus of Cloud9 and what we do on the day in and the day out is the print end of things. So
Mm-hmm.
we have two 3070s. We bought them both. I'm trying to think. It's been within like the last 6 months, so they're still pretty new into the shop, and they are unreal. I mean, I could talk about that like forever. We have a couple older machines as well, so we're actually capable of printing up to 6 shirts at a time. But some of those are, on the older machines. The quality is still great, but it's just the time is pretty unbeatable on the 3070s. Wow. And, I'm sure we can talk more about that, but yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. And you guys have what's the brand name of your tunnel dryer that you guys have? And it's like a big, big tunnel dryer too. It's really wide, right?
Yeah, it's the BBC Aeolus is the name of it. So it's like a 14-foot one. And we kind of bought it with, I don't know, just like the future in mind, because we could have bought a dryer that, really would have maxed out at what our current, printer threshold is, I guess, like of what we're capable of producing. And we were like, nah, let's get something that's a little bit bigger, because, ideally we're going to get more printers and we're going to grow. Yeah. So we don't want to have to invest again and then get another dryer. Yeah.
I think that's definitely kind of a golden nugget tip for our listeners. I mean, we've talked about it here on the Print on Demand cast, but you want to focus on, the best plans are like you plan now for where you want to be in 5 years, and,
Sure.
and if your budget allows for it, obviously you don't want to go, I don't need $100,000, tunnel dryer pre-treat system and all of that stuff right now. But if your budget allows for it, buying kind of the next level up does make a lot of sense when you're planning out and you're trying to plan for where you want to grow, not just where you are now. It's where you want to be. That's really smart. And it sounds like it's really served you guys well, because when I came there, you didn't have those 3070s. You were still printing on those old DTG machines. Yeah. And you weren't using the capacity of your dryer, but now it sounds like you're perfect. It's like working out really well. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. It's getting to the point where, I mean, like, there's no way we can fit another 3070 in the space we're at right now. So, I mean, we'd have to figure that out, but there's definitely still room on the dryer for sure. Like, if we wanted to, it's crazy that, I honestly can't say enough good things about that dryer. It's been one of the best purchases. So
that's super cool. So, a lot of our listeners sell on, Amazon, Etsy, Shopify, merch by Amazon, Redbubble, a lot of kind of both seller of record and royalty only sites. Does Cloud9 actually, do you own any kind of internet properties or any designs that you guys are selling out there in the marketplace? Or are you strictly selling for other people or producing rather for other people?
Yeah, so we actually do some internal stuff. Most of it has been kind of just like internally generated brands on Shopify. So we haven't done as much of like Redbubble or Etsy or any of that stuff. But I will say, like, we have tried. I think the issue that we've run into, though, and I don't know if you guys could speak more on it, it's been tough for us to just dedicate like a lot of time to that area. So, oftentimes my business partner or myself will be like, oh man, we got like a bunch of designs. Why are we not throwing them up on Redbubble or Etsy or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it seems like it just comes down to the consistency of it. And, it's tough for us right now to do it like every day with some of the other stuff we're doing. But I feel like there's so much potential there. And
Sure.
I could speak more on that for sure.
Yeah, I know for us, it's, I totally understand exactly what you're saying, because there's really not enough time in the day to do all of the things, and so I'm very happy that we had established ourselves kind of and had a workflow for creating and adding new designs to, our different marketplaces before we got into like heavy production for other people. I think because we kind of had that first, it's remained and we're able to kind of, see that kind of move forward as we're growing in other areas. I think to add it now in the midst of like, somebody just called me today and wants like 300 shirts, and another person's calling me about, 100 mugs and all of this, just kind of the everyday production fires that you're constantly putting out. It would be hard to really dedicate some time to focus on that workflow now. So I'm really glad we kind of did it early. I don't know. How is it for you guys, Josiah? Because I know you guys also sell on some platforms too.
Yeah, we sell on a lot of platforms, Amazon and Etsy and Walmart. And it's coming to a point now too, where my business partner and I are having the same conversation of all of these designs that we have. Why don't we do something else with them, or a Redbubble, or maybe start a Shopify store with these designs? And what does that look like? And it does come down to like, okay, well, who is going to be put in charge of that? Because you and I have way too much on our plate. I'm still finishing this, 12-ounce steak from last week, and you're trying to heap on some mashed potatoes, and I'm full. So it's like, where's all this gonna go? You know what I mean? Like, who's gonna be the head of it? We got to bring someone in or hire it out or whatever. So it's kind of like, that shiny object syndrome too, that we talk about sometimes, of like, this could be a good idea, but is it going to benefit? Is it going to detract from the main goal? What we're doing right now, is that something we can put on the shelf and dust off and look at again later? It's almost like there is no right answer, but there is a wrong one, and you have to try your best to find which one it is. So it's very much a lot of the same. So right now, you said you're doing some, or predominantly fulfilling for other people. So talk about what makes you guys a fit, or what makes you personally a fit for the POD business, and what skills, Brandon, do you bring to the table? We talked about some design. Maybe we can dive into that a little bit more, but what skills do you feel you bring to the table for the print on demand game?
Yeah, honestly, so I think there's a couple things. One, the design thing for sure. So just like having that background with Photoshop and Illustrator, like I was so blessed, honestly, in high school, because I got the chance to learn like the entire Adobe suite. So even down to like Flash animation and like video editing and all that stuff. I actually still do like a lot of that type of stuff now.
Was that something that you just, kind of a sidebar, was that something that you just took the class just because it was available, or were there areas of interest that the reason you learned the entire Adobe suite? What was the kind of the impetus behind you taking the class that made you or allowed you to learn all of that?
Yeah, so like honestly, it's funny that you guys asked that question, because there's just so much personally that I feel like makes me a good fit for like print on demand. Really, why I learned a lot of that stuff in high school was just because of what I was doing with skiing at the time. So I was like a sponsored skier by like Monster, GoPro, like a couple big
Wow.
ones actually.
Mhm.
Obviously, I was
I've
never like
seen a couple
pro
of your
or anything.
Instagrams. I've seen a couple of those Instagrams, and you're pretty freaking awesome, man. I must say, you got some
Appreciate
skills.
that. Appreciate it. But yeah, it was just like because of that, I had to make videos all the time. And like that was one of the main requirements of like being a sponsored skier at the time, was putting out edits. And then it was also like doing competitions and stuff. But so I wasn't really taught, honestly, the video aspect. Like that is something that I 100% had to go out of my way to learn, but
Sure.
I wouldn't have had the avenue to do so. Like I wouldn't have had access to Premiere or After Effects without being in the spot I was. So
wow, that's awesome. The reason I ask that is it's just fascinating to me sometimes, you know, as we go through life and we pick up these different tools to put in our tool belt, these different skills that are serving a certain purpose at the moment, but then as you continue through life, like yourself, and you come upon the DTG, the POD business model in the game, and you have that to bring to the table because of something that you decided to invest in for a completely different purpose originally.
Yeah.
But now you have those tools at your disposal to help grow this business, when in high school, like you said, you would have had no grid for what you're doing right now.
Yeah, not at all.
I was going to say, so I know something about Brandon that like our listeners are going to be shocked to find out. So at least I feel like they will. I mean, based on our conversation so far, it's like, yeah, I was a graphics designer. I was sponsored skier. I did all this stuff. And then you went to school.
Got the hair to match now too.
Yeah. And you got the cool hair. You got the cool hat, the V-neck, cool, all, you totally are like playing this part really well of this hip, cool print guy, and then you went to college was it for sales basically? Or what did you go to college for? And then tell everybody, what I'm talking about, because I know where you worked after you got out of college, and that's going to shock some people. So share that story a little bit.
Yeah. So I went to school, University of New Hampshire. While I was there, I initially actually was like a business undeclared major for like, I think a year and a half. But I'll tell you what, I didn't really like accounting class. So I was like, I don't think the business school is for me. I had to pass. It was like my school required. Yeah. It was like 3 different levels of accounting that you had to pass in order to get a degree in any aspect of the business school. And I was like, well, do I really have to do like all of this to still, do what I want and get what I want out of school? So I ended up being a communication major, which honestly, like, I learned a lot of stuff that kind of helps me now, because it wasn't really just talking about communication back and forth. It was like online communication and stuff like that, looking at how, web behavior was going to change and grow and all that type of stuff. But I guess really to get back to the root of the question, at the same time, I had gotten a sales job at Verizon when I was a freshman in college. And it just like opened my eyes to a completely different world that I did not know existed. And I was like, oh my God, like sales is it. Like, this is what I got to do. So there was a sales club at my school. There were sales competitions and all of that good stuff. So basically from when I was a sophomore on, I was doing like extracurricular, whether it was like actual sales competitions or doing stuff within sales club or like working sales internships or all that stuff. So yeah, that was like what I was doing throughout college. And then once I graduated, so actually I interned there while I was in college too. When I was a junior going into my senior year, I interned at IBM as a sales intern. And it was like a 12-week program, I think. I guess I did good enough to get offered the job. And yeah, so I mean, obviously like I put in effort, but it was a pretty competitive program. And yeah, I ended up getting offered the job after school. So when I graduated, I ended up working in sales at IBM for, it was almost 2 years. It was like a year and 3/4, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that was what I was doing right up until Cloud9 began. So
That's awesome. So can you talk a little bit about, so that was, that was the thing. I mean, no one would have thought, based on what you're doing now and kind of the story up till then that, I was a graphics kid. I was a snowboard or a skier, and then all of a sudden you're working at IBM, I mean, that seems, it's very white collar. It's totally kind of a shift from maybe, a perception that somebody would have of a guy who runs a print shop and wears, cool hat and has long hair. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, just like how that kind of, that experience has helped you in Cloud9, and can you speak to that, like how that sales training and that sales experience has kind of helped you in the print on demand space?
Honestly, a crazy amount. So like the program that I went through with IBM is what was known, I don't know if it still exists, honestly, post-pandemic, but it was a thing for years before. It's called Global Sales School. So basically, for about like the first 6 months of the position, it's very, very training intensive focused. So like we were, basically just spending time with people that had been selling with IBM for 20, 30 years or even more in some cases, and just trying to learn from them and then pitch to them and get criticized and, hear about the ways we should be doing it. So honestly, it was just crazy to learn from what was on it, like hundreds of years of combined experience in one room between all of those people.
Wow.
So it's really been like that. I don't think Cloud9 would be like doing what we're doing right now if it wasn't for some of that. Like, I don't know if I would have some of the confidence that I do, or just some of the like ability sales wise that I do.
Sure.
Without that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You feel like it's helped you land clients potentially, or at least kind of close the sale, so to speak, and kind of get them on board.
Yeah, no doubt about it, honestly. And
That's
not
cool.
even just from that aspect, like in my opinion, really what's hard for most people isn't necessarily closing the sale, because you can do that a lot of times just through, showing that you know what you're talking about and you have a reputable business and all of these different things. Like, you don't necessarily have to know how to close anything. I mean, it comes in handy, but really where I'm going with that is just the aspect of like prospecting, honestly, and reaching out and following up, and a lot of the general business etiquette type stuff is really like what I think has helped me the most.
That's cool. No, that's really good. Man, we could probably do a whole like podcast series on like business etiquette and like sales just in general, and like how to, keep track of your potential leads, and like just following up and just all those things that you just mentioned.
The
and,
the organizational side of it can be a monster sometimes, because like you said, it's easy to reach out and to, prospect, but then you have to remember who you reached out and when's the last time and where the conversation was left. And so, there's systems and stuff that you need to have in place for sure. That would be a pretty fascinating, actually.
Do you guys use a CRM? And if so, what is it, a CRM for POD, or is it something else that you guys just kind of knew about and just use it?
Yeah, $1 million question. I want a CRM very badly. we don't have one as of right now. But kind of going back to like what I was talking about a little bit earlier with some of the IBM stuff is like, when I was there, they went through a process of switching CRMs. So for a little while, and God, if anybody heard that from the company, like they'd probably hate me saying this, but like we were keeping track of stuff like manually for a little while. So when I was like, okay, well, like I want to start selling for Cloud9, like what am I going to do? I was just like, oh yeah, like remember like when you were doing all that manually.
Perfect experience.
So I just did the same stuff, and I got a bunch of Google Sheets built out. And yeah, like you guys said, I mean, geez, that's probably a whole episode like within its own thing. So
that's super cool. Well, okay. So you talked about obviously, the sales experience with IBM and stuff, but you also have this, kind of unique set of skills when it comes to like Adobe designing and, Photoshop and Illustrator and all that stuff. So we talked a little bit about before we press record, kind of you enjoy and have a lot of experience designing specifically for like t-shirts. And so I'm wondering, in an effort to, again, kind of give something to the audience that just to consider in their own business, can you kind of maybe put into words what makes a good t-shirt design versus what makes a bad t-shirt design? And maybe just one or two examples of that. Cause I know it's hard to like say something, audibly when you're trying to kind of, and we're talking about a visual representation of that thing. So do your best.
Yeah. So it's funny. The beginning of that question made me think about it. I actually got asked by a potential client today, like how many t-shirt designs I've done individually. And I had never thought about it, but I'm like, oh my God, like it's gotta be over, I think 10,000 probably over the course of my entire life. Like I would think. So I've been doing, design since I was like 13. So yeah, it's just crazy. But to get back to the root of the question, really the first thing that pops into my head, a lot of t-shirt designs contain text. So, just like the one big thing in my eyes that you can tell, somebody kind of knows what they're doing versus somebody who may be a little bit more green or a little bit more of a rookie is like being willing to bold the text, italicize the text, space the text, whether it's making the words closer or the spaces in between words, messing with that, or like letting and kerning. Yeah, just like there's so many different ways that you can play with text that I don't think get explored enough. And that's probably what I would say.
Okay. No, that's excellent. Cause I do think you go on Amazon or you go on Merch by Amazon or, Etsy or whatever, and you see a lot of Arial, or just whatever. And it's not necessarily that Arial's bad, but maybe the use of Arial could be changed up a little bit. Like you're talking about with the kerning and, kind of the spacing of the letters or the lines between, all of that stuff. So that's a good tip.
Helvetica too. Classic.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
My favorite though is Comic Sans. So, we don't have enough Comic Sans in our life, I don't think.
Said no one ever. Yeah. So Brandon, tell us a little bit about you as Cloud9 as a print provider. What makes you different? What sets you apart? If people out there are looking for a print-on-demand provider for their store or dropship or something like that, and like your elevator pitch, right? What makes you stand out from the rest of the POD suppliers out there?
Yeah, so I think I alluded to it a little bit at the beginning, but really, like we are a true end-to-end print-on-demand supplier. So there's kind of like 5 different stages that I think of it almost. First would be designing the actual apparel. We can obviously do that, from front to back. Then is kind of like setting up a marketplace. We can do that as well, whether it's like web design or, whatever it might be there. Once things are ready to launch, we help on the marketing side as well. So like we'll put together promo videos and like actual like professional photos and all that stuff to promote the store. And then from there, it's the printing and the fulfillment. So like no matter where you are in the state, like in the steps, like it doesn't matter to us, if you want to just like plug and play with a different POD provider, or if you need something that's like a fully custom solution that's built out, we can meet you wherever you are. So.
And do you build out that custom solution? Like if they're looking for a website, or if someone wants to have a Shopify set up, you offer that service as well? Or do they have to have a pre-existing, Shopify account before you can make something happen?
Yeah, 100%. So like we'll build stuff out from scratch, like
Sure.
100% for people. So
Nice.
yeah, a lot of times like we'll, I guess just have ideas like thrown our way by people being
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like I would love this on a shirt, or like, can I see this on a shirt, or whatever it might be. So, um, we have other designers on the team now too. Like Cloud9 has grown a little bit from the beginning. So it's not
Sure.
just me anymore doing it, which is awesome. But so, someone on the team will take the project and kind of get things going there. And once things are all set on the merch end, then we can build out stores like front to back. Travis has seen, I think, some of the work that we've done on that end. So
Nice.
yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, what you're saying is sounds amazing, but like, how do you make sure that all of that work that you're putting in to, a potential client, hey, we're going to build all your designs, we're going to make your Shopify store, we're going to create all this marketing material, but it's still up to them to actually, promote it to their audience or somehow sell it to the masses, or you're not making any money on the print side of it. So how do you vet those clients, and how do you kind of decide who's worthy of that investment? Or are you just like, here's our rate to do this, and I don't care if you ever sell a shirt because I made my money on the shirts, or on the design of the t-shirts and the design of the shop? How does that work?
Yeah. So honestly, like I tell this to people and I'm not really sure if they believe me. Like sometimes I'm but we actually are like kind of selective about who we work with, honestly. Initially, like a couple months ago, even if you asked that question, I think I would have had a different answer. But like, not to say that we won't work with smaller or local companies, because we do that stuff literally all the time.
Sure.
But with that being said, like when, and Travis, like I'm comfortable talking about some of this stuff. Like, one of the people that we are working with now has been some of the Cyrus family. So it's just like when we have clients that are also of that size, we are definitely just like, I don't know, thinking of where should we be spending our time and what's actually most valuable for us to be doing. So, it's actually been like kind of interesting trying to figure that out over the last couple months, and just being like, okay, like how do we mix in like smaller and more local stuff, and just like, because we have really great rates and we offer great, services and everything, and we don't want to be turning away people just because of like their size. That's not fair,
Sure.
So it's trying to walk that fine line, basically.
So you still haven't, you don't necessarily have like the answer for that question yet. You're kind of in the midst of defining that answer and figuring that out for your guys, for your company.
Yeah, honestly, like it's kind of, print on demand is just like a crazy world. It's still in the infancy, and there's so many different ways that you can kind of just like attack the game, if you want to put it that way. Like you can choose to do, all internal stuff. Like we could have, honestly, do the same exact like services that we do right now, but just do them for Cloud9. Like we could be like, okay, well, like we're just gonna create our own in-house merch stores and like do the apparel design, do the web design, do like, so it's just trying to figure out what avenue you actually want to work within, and yeah, just kind of run with it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well,
fantastic. Go ahead, Travis.
Well, I was just going to say, let's jump in, Josiah. Let's jump in and ask him some of the magic questions.
The magic questions.
So these are the questions that we didn't tell him that we were going to ask him.
Yes, the hot seats.
The hot seat.
The Who Wants to Be a Millionaire theme song.
Okay, so Brandon. So first one, I'll ask, and then Josiah can follow up the one. Tell us about a time when something happened in your business that felt like a failure. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, honestly, there's a couple that I can talk about. And before I even answer, I guess I'll say failure is not a bad thing. Failure is actually a very good thing, like in my mind, because one, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. And really, at the end of the day, it's the lessons that you learn and the changes that you make based on them. Like no one's perfect. It's all part of learning. really the one thing that I would probably point to as like an overarching I wasn't thrilled about.
I love the
So
way you phrase that.
It's a very diplomatic way to phrase that.
I didn't have much experience like hiring people before Cloud9 or interviewing people or anything like that. I had never really been in like a managerial position or anything like that, and had to do any of those processes. So when we were first bringing onto the people onto the team for Cloud9, it was like, oh, okay, like I think this person could be a good fit, XYZ. And honestly, at the beginning of it, like our turnover definitely was not great. It was only like a few employees. We learned very quickly, but that's the one thing that I can say for sure felt like a failure, because it just like the tasks that we had in mind like weren't getting done. And then there was one instance in particular where somebody that we had helping us out with fulfillment, it just wasn't working out. And like my business partner and I ended up spending the weekend in there packing packages, which isn't the end of the world, but it's just like,
sure,
I would like to not be doing that. So
yeah, no, I totally relate to that. Yeah, absolutely. So this question we like to refer to as the crystal ball question. If you could put on your hat and peer into the future, what do you think the future of print on demand is, if you had to take a guess? And we're going to hold you to it and follow up in 10 years.
Okay, so I'm looking on a 10-year scope here.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay.
Honestly, a lot of people probably aren't going to like me saying this, that maybe are based in like the printing industry. It's apparent to me that DTG and print on demand have taken big steps within like kind of the last 2 years, honestly. Sure. And just like machines have taken big leaps. Quality in terms of printing has taken big leaps. The cost of production is not what it used to be. There are a lot of things that have changed. And I definitely will not say that DTG is the same quality as screen printing right now. But if you're looking on a 10-year scale, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if DTG is more of the commonplace compared to screen printing or something like that, just because of quick setup. Obviously you don't have to deal with mixing ink, any of that type of stuff, no burning screens. Like, I think that, not to say like, and also one kind of random thing this is making me think about too, DTG almost has like a bad rep for fast fashion. I think a lot of that is based in the choice of garment. Like if you use good quality garments, like your prints are going to last and they're going to hold up. And that's something that we've really learned, since the beginning, because we didn't know that initially. And that's something else that I think like, in the long run, the quality of DTG is only going to get better. And it is kind of there on some garments already. So,
yeah,
I feel like we need to get Brandon and Cole Lundstrom in the same room and just have them duke it out. DTG versus screen printing, and bam, bam, bam. I think you guys, it'd be awesome. Get that debate going. We need a battle royale.
If we ever have a print on demand cast conference or some kind of POD conference, I think we could set that debate up.
We could. That would be super fun.
That'd be great.
All right. One last question for you, Brandon. If you had to start all over and you lost all of your current contacts, which, I mean, honestly, you guys started last year, so it's not, so it probably hasn't changed a whole lot, but I'm just curious, what would you do first? So you don't have any equipment, you don't have any of your contacts, but you want to do POD again. What would you do? What's your first step?
I think it would change a lot, actually. I guess like one thing that I guess you said there. So like, I don't start with any equipment in this scenario.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, you lost it all.
You've lost
it
all.
Nothing. All right. So truthfully, I would probably go the route of creating more content simultaneously with prospecting. Because what I think that we've realized right now, okay, so at the root of the question, one, in my eyes, unless you have, like, if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. So that's one.
Yep.
So prospecting and then mixed with content, the reason why I say that is because we don't have a lot of content out there right now. And one thing that I think inhibits us is like, I'll reach out to people being like, oh, like, I'm Brandon and we've worked with, you know, XYZ or done like whatever project. And I feel like people will look me up on YouTube or, you know, wherever it might be. And there's just like not very much out there. If I had to start all over, I would, you know, just go back into hardcore prospecting, but then at the same time, create content that goes hand in hand with that, talking about print on demand and what it is and why you should be interested and why it can help you, all those different things. So
sure. Yeah, that's
a good answer. That's a really good answer.
I like that. I thought you were going to swerve us there for a second and say if you lost everything, you'd probably just go into screen printing. Brandon, you just said screen printing was going to be dead in 10 years. And you also gave me a better word for, you know, finding clients, prospecting. It beats the hell out of the term headhunting. So I'm going to change my vernacular immediately. So you've done a million favors already. So, man, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking time to hop on and be a part of the show. Before we go, let people know where they can find Cloud9 online, social media, where they can find you, because apparently there's some pretty badass ski pictures out there that need to be seen. So plug all of the social medias, business, personal, and then we'll kind of wrap up this portion of the show.
Cool. Yeah. So if you want to find me personally on Instagram, that's where I use like most social media. It's O'Connor.Brandon. I've been thinking about changing that because honestly, people think my name is Connor sometimes. And yeah, so I'm like, maybe I should change that. But as of right now, it's OCONNOR.Brandon, BRANDON on Instagram. And if you want to follow Cloud9, because that's where more, I guess, of the print action and all that type of stuff goes down. It's at Cloud9 Prints, and it's like the number 9 on Instagram. So that's where you find us. Yep. I appreciate you guys having me, by the way. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. I follow you on both of those, and guys, Brandon puts out a lot of cool content, puts out some stuff like cool prints that they're doing and little videos here and there. And, you know, even just to kind of steal some of his ideas, I think you should follow him. So
there's a bunch of them on there up for the taking.
Yes, I'm following right now. I need to, next time Travis makes his way your direction, I'd love to join and see your facility, kind of drool over the 3070 a little bit, and then collect myself and come back. So I think it'd be great to meet you in person as well, Brandon. So thank you again for taking time to come on the show, and we'll have to do this again soon, man. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me, guys. Seriously, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. There you have it, folks. Brandon O'Connor, or Brandon O'Connor. I feel like I'm the bad Michael Buffer impression. Man, I really, really enjoyed this interview with Brandon. Such a nice guy. Very, you can tell, down to earth, willing to share so much knowledge. I really want to follow up with him on that sales idea and doing a series of podcasts on that, because I think that would really help our listeners, regardless of what stage they're in the print on demand journey. At some point, you're going to come into a scenario where you're going to need to learn how to prospect. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a really great topic. And also, I liked how we touched on the idea of past experiences preparing you for your present endeavors right now. Him doing graphics in high school and it coming into play now in his life when he wasn't really intending it to be in that purpose. So, man, so much good stuff. Travis, what stood out to you when we were chatting with Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously had a little bit of a, I don't know, I knew him already. So we've done some stuff and I've helped him with, some of the things that they don't fulfill, helping some of their clients have other options and stuff like that. So we've kind of we've been in contact a lot, and I just love his business mind. We were talking about maybe doing something in the Denver area, just as kind of a, like some trainings and some just with some other people that are in the POD space, just talking about like you mentioned, like with sales and just kind of how-tos of, creating your own business, creating listings even on different sites, just kind of the whole gamut. And so we've had a lot of, interactions like that. And so, I mean, specifically from this episode, I just think it was cool to kind of allow him to kind of just share some of his experiences and how they, how they're totally different from your experiences or my experiences. And yet here we all, there are three different printing companies within, an hour of each other in the same city. And we're all, relatively successful in our own lanes and in different ways, but we're doing very similar things. I just think that's cool because I remember a couple podcasts ago, we were talking about some of the things we wished we'd known when we started. And one of those points was, we're not competition. You and I are not competition. Brandon is not our competition. And I think that to me kind of just like having him on the show today kind of just reiterated that point that, we're not competition with each other. There is a synergy when we get together and we share ideas and we share stories and we share experiences. And it can do nothing but help us individually build our businesses when we collectively help each other.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it'd be awesome to do, I know a lot of places have kind of business roundtables where once a month, or there was some of that even in the Amazon seller space, where once a month they get together for a lunch or for a dinner, and then everyone can come together, share ideas, catch up, break bread, just interface, have fun, and then share some business ideas or what's going on or what's some roadblocks, because there is, with the number of people, there's sound counsel there, right? So you're going to get a lot of good ideas, a lot of good counsel from everyone in the room. So I think it'd be really cool to do, something to that effect, where it's like a print on demand or a print industry locally in the area, kind of round table deal would be really, really cool to see happen. So I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do it. Let's do something this, I don't know, soon. After our 52nd episode.
Yes.
Let's plan that first. How about that?
After we're 1 year old, we will then transition to do something with kind of that roundtable vibe. But I'm very excited for that. Very excited for the 52nd episode, the beginning of season 3, which, as you heard in the intro, means nothing, but to us it is significant. So it is therefore significant to you. So the 52nd episode coming in a couple of weeks. Travis, anything else before we wrap this up? Put a bow on it and send it.
Nope, not at all. I think it was a great episode. I really enjoyed having Brandon on. And again, thanks to him for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Brandon. Be sure to follow him on social media. Check out those gnarly ski pictures that they're talking about. Follow Cloud9 Prints for awesome insights and behind the scenes steel ideas as well. So And when you're following things and doing stuff on the social media platforms, please join the Facebook group, printondemandcast.com/Facebook. There's lots of stuff coming your way that we're really excited about. And the Facebook group is the place to see it and to take part and to get first access to everything Print on Demand Cast as we mark this 1 year. And as always, please go to iTunes. Leave a 5-star rating because we asked you to, and you could even say that in the comments that you were specifically solicited to leave a 5-star comment, and we are going to appreciate that. But it helps the algorithms, and it makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside to see all of those 5 stars there on those rating reviews. And as always, you guys already know that wherever there are podcasts available, the POD cast is there for you.
Yes,
so
sir.
For Travis, I'm Josiah. We will see you next week right here on the Print on Demand Cast.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next week.
What, Madeline? Yeah, go ahead. What?
She doesn't like our podcasting.
She's like, oh God, shut up. Okay.